Runkandel is a family of swordsmen that rules over more than half of the world. The swordsmen of this family are born with strong bodies, excellent talent, and rule the world with their overwhelming strength. To fight at the peak of one's abilities is the first quality of a member of a great family. The second quality is overcoming. Overcoming oneself, one's fears and dangers must accompany a true swordsman. Luxury, the enjoyment of one's power. This is the third of the qualities that describe the lands where force rules, where the strong devour the weak. All this is the family in which the hero, Jean Runkandel, the youngest of the Runkandel family, was born. Jin is a child who, during a selection ritual that would predict his future, chose a family sword that would bestow the fate of an entire family. One of the elders of the family, who appeared before the very young hero on the day of the selection ritual, was amazed by the choice of the family sword of Barasad and predicted an interesting future. After such a choice of fate, Jin believed that only fame and success awaited him in the future. However, reality can be cruel. His hopes were destroyed. Jin had no talent for wielding a sword, and those around him were puzzled as to how a Runkandel bloodline could have such a low level of swordsmanship. The hero was only spoken of as a disgrace to the family, a disgrace to the clan, someone worse than the average representative, or in short, the worst of the Runkandel. On another day that Jin spent on the training ground with a wooden sword, two older twin brothers came to mock the scum of the earth for choosing a special sword. All they could hear from him were mockery and derisive questions about why their younger brother, the scum, was unsuccessfully training with a piece of wood, and where he had left his special sword. Jin couldn't find anything to say in response to the bullying. He just stood there in a stupor, and one of the brothers, pressing with unpleasant remarks, approached Jin and swung his leg. The older brother's knee hit the hero's stomach with such force that Jin fell to the ground, letting go of the training sword. Amid more curses, the hero sat up and reached for the weapon that had fallen from his hands. "What's the point of you swinging that sword? You won't succeed anyway." With these words, the brother who hit him crushed Jin's hand as soon as Jin touched the sword's hilt with his fingers. At the same time, another of the twin brothers found a manual with the basic theory of sword fighting that belonged to the hero, and laughed at the uselessness of such a manual for the untalented scum of the family. While Jim was asking one of his older brothers to return his book, the other took his training sword and, saying that people like their youngest should not be given a chance to learn how to use a sword, broke the training weapon. "You don't know your place, and that's why you have hope." With these words, the other twin tore up the allowance. Jin asked to stop, for which he was grabbed by the hair. Holding his younger brother by the hair, the elder one threw Jin to the ground, assuring him that the twin brothers were doing all this with good intentions and did not understand why the younger one contradicted them and tried so hard to learn how to wield a sword. "Ah, did your nanny teach you to behave like that?" The twin found a possible reason for the stubbornness. The hero tried to protect Jilly, but the twins did not listen, and before leaving warned that they would punish for disobedience and teach their younger brother manners. Their bullying, his own lackluster talent, Jean thought none of it mattered. "If I work hard, I will succeed. If I keep trying, one day my family will acknowledge me and I will become a full-fledged member of the Runkandel family." The hero truly believed in this. However, the youngest son was expelled from the family and thrown outside the gates of the family castle. "Your efforts are commendable, so we will not kill you." With these words, at the age of 25, Jin was expelled from his family, and he became a miserable non-entity, wandering without a goal. During that period, the hero met the master completely by chance. And then Jin learned that he too had a talent, but it was a talent that was forbidden in the Runkandel family, namely the art of magic. 3 years have passed since then, and Jin has been engrossed in research in his laboratory. Suddenly, the hero saw that some black shadow had approached him from behind and began to surround him. The darkness completely consumed him. Something from that darkness showed its presence, which scared Jin. Trying to understand who it was, the hero turned around and saw in front of him a huge faceless figure in a hood, on whose hand he was standing. "I am Soldred," the figure introduced itself, "master of all shadows. As the god of shadows, I intend to offer a pact," Soldred continued. "If you make a pact with me, you will be able to use Shadow Key and destroy any curse." The Shadow Master looked at Jin, saw a certain seal with chains, and spoke. "It seems that you have been storing up hatred from other people since childhood. So it turns out that you couldn't show your talent because of this primitive curse," Soldred realized. Jin couldn't believe it. "This curse is called the Blade Illusion. It suppresses your swordsmanship," the Shadow God explained. "For the Runkandel family, it must be truly terrifying." The Shadow Master snapped his fingers towards the seal. saying that this seal was probably the reason for the shadow god's attraction to Jin. From this moment on, there will be no more curse that brings you pain. The seal and chains immediately broke. Now we need to make you an unprecedented magician, Jean Runkindel. I will be very pleased to watch you, said Soldred. The shadow god immediately disappeared and left Jin alone. Realizing what had happened, the hero grabbed his sword and ran out of the house into the night. The first swing, the second, the third. Everything was different. Everything was as Soldred said. As soon as I raised the sword again, I began to feel new things with each passing second. Jin was delighted. The sword, its weight is not felt at all. It feels like I'm just waving my hand. Here he is, once the weakest boy in the history of the Runkindel family. And if we add magic to this, Genie decided to try. Finally. Now I can see the results of my hard work. Somewhere nearby, from where there was an excellent view of Jin's training, someone rustled. It was a group of armored people silently watching the youngest son of the Runkindel family. Someone's squeal, incomprehensible screams, waking up to loud sounds. Jin could not understand what was happening. Blood was flowing from his eyes and ears. I just heard something. What? Screams? I feel like my body is very heavy. The ruins of the former house were pressing on Jin. Life was leaving the hero. His eyes were growing dim. Jin could only call out to Master Soldred. People were running past him, but no one noticed. To think that I would die as a nobody while I was sleeping? Maybe it's because I wasn't supposed to succeed? Jin wondered. The magic and power of Soldred that I finally got, I won't even have a chance to use it? If this was how it was supposed to be, then why did they even give me a chance? Jin saw children's hands in front of him. He looked back. The people from the Runkindel family were standing behind him. What's going on? Am I really dead? Jin didn't understand what had happened, and there were many swords in front of him. Don't lose heart, young Master Jean, supported Gilly, the nanny that the hero hadn't seen for a long time. And among the huge number of swords stood that very one, the special sword. The family sword that bestows the fate of an entire family, Barasada. Once again, young Jin saw this sword and understood everything. This is a selection ritual that predicts the future of the Runkindel family's child. He went back in time, back into the body of 1-year-old Jean Runkindel. I accidentally picked up this sword in my past life. With these thoughts, the little boy touched Barasada. The rest of the family was excited about the choice of the family sword. In this life, I will choose Barasada myself. Jin looked at his choice with confidence. The youngest of us has chosen Barasada. The head of the Runkindel family spoke. I am finishing the selection ceremony. Send the boy to Thunder Castle. 6 years have passed since Jean has lived in this castle. The 7-year-old hero spent time in his office reading books, and he noticed a high-priced book. Taking it out, he remembered that according to the family's rules, he had to stay in Thunder Castle until he turned 10 years old, which meant there were still 3 years left. And it was a boring time. A terrible scream came from the corridor, which made Jin put down his book and go towards the sound. He saw the maid who had fallen in the corridor and asked what had happened. In the young master's room, the maid said in fear, there's a dead bird. The only ones capable of such an outrage in Thunder Castle are… Jin guessed who did it. So it was you. Brothers, said Jean, and 2 laughing twins entered the room. It's a pity the maid found her first, clucked 9-year-old Dayton, the eldest of the twins and the 11th of 13 brothers. Exactly. We brought it personally for you to see, agreed Hayton, the 12th child of the Runkindel family. They continued laughing. How do you like the present? Are you already starting to cry? The genie silently wrapped the bird in a handkerchief. These brothers, I know that they will become famous as infamous killers after they become commanders. But now they are barely 9 years old, the hero recalled, holding the bird in his hands. He didn't understand. Just to torture him a little, they killed the bird? But please don't start crying, otherwise you'll start to irritate me. The twins continued to mock. Jin didn't react to the taunts. Hey, can't you hear us? So the one who chose the fate of the head of the family doesn't care about us? Why did a man like you leave Barasada and go empty-handed? The children tried to irritate their younger brother. Jin answered quietly, almost soundlessly. Did you say something? One of the twins continued to mock. Hayton grabbed Jin by the shoulder and shouted, swinging his fist, You speak so quietly, I can't hear what you're mumbling. The fist was stopped immediately. I said, Jin began. The attacker was taken aback and could not believe what was happening. You're too noisy, so shut up, the hero replied, holding his older brother's fist in his palm, from which black mist was oozing. At that moment, the youngest of the Runkindel family responded to the offender with a blow to the jaw. Hayton was furious at what was happening. Without thinking twice, Jin began to strike the twins blow after blow. I have tolerated you up to this point, but I have had enough, the hero finished his series of blows. Brothers, from now on, the less I see of you, the better, said Jin to the beaten twins lying there. Then a man ran into the room asking what had happened. Khan, the hero greeted the man who had entered. Young Master Jin, in the name of all that is holy, what is this? Kang tried to figure out what happened. A fight suddenly broke out, the young master explained. The man didn't understand. What? Can you listen to me? These two suddenly got into a fight and knocked each other out, Jin said. As expected, the children of the Runkendal family are known for their cruelty, Khan thought. He stood up, holding the beaten twins in his arms, and said, Okay, then I should take your brothers to the doctor. To which Jin would respond in the negative. No, there's another place they should go. After which the child led the man with the sick people in his arms somewhere out into the street. It was raining. There was mud and slush everywhere. But this did not stop the boy from digging something in the ground. It was a grave for the bird that the twins killed. It was at this grave, under a tree, that the beaten murderers were left during the rain. Young Master Jin, Kang said, do you want to leave them here like this? The storm will soon get worse. Brothers, the child began to answer, you need to learn to be responsible for your actions. As you say, young master, the man answered obediently. Kang looked at Jin and thought, that energy was definitely not an aura magic? If so, it was not just a fight between brothers. The head of the family should know about it. He saw the servant and demanded that he bring him a horse so that he could set off more quickly. Jin watched from the room as the man saddled the horse. As expected, the boy thought, he is going to report this to my father. Kan, our guardian knight, but he's also too attentive. He thought I had used magic, so he went to report it immediately. Kai is the proof of my contract with Soldred. Thanks to this power, I was able to understand that the contract is still in force. And as a bonus of our connection with him, I have immunity to curses. In this life, I managed to get rid of the illusion of the blade. The loser Jean Runkendal no longer exists. From this day on, my life will be radically different from the last. Now the only thing left is to meet my father, Jin thought with a smile. Meanwhile, somewhere far away in the forest, Khan had just finished his report to the head of the family about what had happened. To which he thought, the youngest did this to his brothers. Kan, gather all the commanders, the head of the Runkendal family ordered. I need to meet with him. Sometime later, the people waiting in the forest finally got their chance. Chief, 7 Runkendal commanders and 200 knights have been assembled, one of them reported. Okay, replied the head of the family. We're going to Stormcastle. The Runkendal family detachment set out. As they walked, the 2 captains discussed the reason for their summoning. Depus, is there anything you don't know? Sister Luna also seems to have no idea, the 7th captain Runkendal Mary spoke up. Even though I easily defeated the mages, they are going to attack us next year, but I don't think we were gathered because of them, her interlocutor reasoned. They probably want to see the younger ones, Depus, the 4th captain of the family, realized. With the youngest? But why? Wasn't he the one who chose the family's sword at the selection ceremony? But then Mary suddenly understood. So no one is against him becoming the head of the family? How can we know what father intends to do? Depus answered her. The girl walking in front turned around and asked not to talk. It was Luna Runkendal, or the 1st captain. So it really is important since the father is eager to see everything in person, thought Mary. It turns out that great hopes are placed on the younger one. While the leader was on his way to Thunder Castle, Gil Nanny Gina was preparing the young master to receive guests. It turns out that the Lord will soon arrive in person. Does he wish to meet you, young master? Who knows? Jin replied, realizing that Khan had reported everything in detail. Kan is a very straightforward person, but it's unlikely that he would have said outright that I used magic, the hero thought while the nanny combed his hair. Of course, he will report everything exactly as he saw it. The youngest of the Runkendals used an unknown power that does not resemble either magic or aura. Father will personally come to see what it is. He wants to see if this power will be useful for the prosperity of the family, Jin concluded. 200 knights, 7 captains and the leader arrived at Thunder Castle. Greetings, my lord. The castle servants greeted the arriving guests. The head of the Runkendal family asked for the Ton brothers to be brought. Hi Tona, Daytona, he said to the twins. I heard you had a fight with Jean. Is it your fault? We didn't do anything wrong. Jin hit us first, the brothers lied. He did this using a power that is unknown. It wasn't an aura, it was more like magic, the twins continued to report. Magic is forbidden in our family. The Ton brothers smiled. That's right, father. If Jin used magic, then we must interrogate him before he covers up all his tracks. The captains, hearing this, were not particularly pleased with the twins. Wait, the Lord interrupted the twins. My children, keep this a secret. You can't survive here with just the truth. Hayton and Dayton drooped and fell silent as the chief demanded that Jean be called. The hero, meeting the sad twins in the corridor, thought, My father is Chiron Runkendal. He is stronger and more cold-blooded than anyone I know. He is the most powerful being of this era, having reached the level of a demigod, the Genesis Knight. He used to be an ordinary human, but the price for having power like the gods is human emotions, a being who was left with only a blind obsession with family and its prosperity. I was much weaker than my father, so he simply didn't notice me, the former scum of the Runkendal family recalled. But this time, everything is different, Jin reasoned. The hero's gaze became confident. In this life, no one will dare to ignore me. The youngest son of the Runkendal family opened the doors to the hall for him. All family members turned their attention to the person who entered. Mary and Duncan also kept a close eye on the 7-year-old child. Greetings, Chief. Jin dropped to one knee and greeted Chiron Runkendal. Why do you call me Chief and not your father? The man asked the child. Brothers, sisters, and guards, Jin began to answer. More than 100 members of our family are gathered here. That's why I decided that head would be more correct here and addressed you in this way. Jin's answer surprised his older sister Luna. That's a satisfactory answer, said the chief. But I'm here for another reason today, so call me father. Now I will ask the same question as I did to your brothers. Are they to blame for the quarrel that broke out between you? It's revenge, replied Jin. If you're from the Runkendal family, when someone does something to you, it's your duty to repay the debt. Whether it was a help or an insult, Mary's elder sister was extremely pleased with this answer. Get out, everyone except the youngest, said the chief. The knights were dumbfounded and began to whisper, doubting whether the younger one would pass the Lord's test. One of the captains urged the frozen knights on. Mary was especially excited about how the personal conversation between the younger and his father would go. Finally, as soon as the last person left the room, the doors closed and only 2 remained there. I need to ask you something, so I told everyone to leave the room, the father began. The Tona brothers said that you have some special power. Runkendal strictly forbids any use of magic, so if you have it, you will not be able to exceed the limits. What is this power? Chiron Runkendal asked bluntly. If this is magic, you won't get off that easy. Jin just smiled and began to think. Since father already knows about this power from the story of the Knight Khan, he won't miss the opportunity to learn more because slightly noticeable black smoke began to appear from the hero's hand. This is the power of Soldred, the god of shadows. Jin summed up what he had analyzed earlier. I don't know where this power comes from, but it's not magic or aura. The youngest child of the Runkendal family answered the head's question. Thick smoke was already coming from his hand. He asked his father. But then what is this? A large, black, moving fire-like object with a white core formed in Jin's palm. Having demonstrated his ability, the child spoke, If you don't mind, father, what would you call this power? The head of the house immediately recognized what kind of power it was. She represented the soul of the sword that the 1-year-old child chose at the selection, the soul of Berisada. So this child is truly destined to become the head of the house, thought Chiron Runkendal. Jin noticed that his father had not said anything. Father? He called out to him. Well, this is the power of Soldred, the god of shadows, the father answered his son. God of shadows? Jin tried to find out something new about who gave him this power. Soldred made a pact with the first head of the Runkendal house, Lord Tamar, and since then, this god has become the patron of our family. But after Lord Tamar's death, Soldred no longer appeared before the members of Runkendal. I don't know why, but it seems he came back to watch us through you, the head of the family explained. Jin, after listening to his father's story, decided to ask him a question. God Soldred, is he stronger than you? Chiron Runkendal thought, fighting with God. Your father never fought the gods, so I don't know, he answered honestly. Gina was impressed by her father's answer. The head of the family smiled and was in anticipation. This answer is perfect for the strongest, the hero realized. My son, Chiron said to his child. The strongest one's large hand reached towards Jin's head, which couldn't help but make him wary. The hand patted the child's head. That was a good question. It gave me something to think about, the father praised. I think coming here in person was the right decision. The father's hand continued to rest on the child's head. Let me ask you a question. How do you plan to use Berisada's soul? Jin began to answer, holding his hand on his heart. I want to use it for the good of my family. Chiron Runkendal frowned. You say for the good of the family. He smiled and then laughed loudly. What a funny lie, said the father, and then explained. You beat up your older brothers, left them lying in the street during a storm, and now you say you want to use your power for the good of your family? Answer honestly to your father. The hero realized that he had failed to fool his father. This power, Jin spoke seriously. I want to use it to my advantage. Chief Runkindel frowned and then said, Okay, I like it. The child was extremely surprised by this answer from his father. From now on, you will be under my supervision, Chiron said to his son at last and left. Jin exhaled happily. He did it. It was enough to use this power as I wished, the hero reasoned. But now my father will be watching me. I didn't expect everything to go so well. Now my new life will definitely be radically different from the past. Jin was happy. He left the castle to see off today's guests, and then the older sister handed him a box. Sister Mary, what is this? A special gift I have prepared just for you. Mary handed the heavy box to Jilly. Cook this and eat it. Quickly become strong, okay? The elder sister ordered. She returned back to Deepus, who was waiting for her. Jin couldn't understand why his older sister gave this gift to him. When everyone finally left, the hero and his nanny opened the box that Mary had given them. Its contents shocked them. Inside lay a huge heart, emitting fire. It was the heart of a phoenix. To give this to a 7-year-old? She's crazy. Jean was delighted. His older sister, Mary Runkindle, the 7th captain and 6th rank knight, is known as Storm Mary. However, she has a lesser-known nickname, the Mad Woman of the Southlands. It was obvious why such a madly warlike sister would give me such a valuable thing. Grow faster to fight me, Jin thought. If I eat this at an early age, I will increase my resistance to fire, and of course accelerate my growth. The hero was preparing for dinner. Here he thought, but the heart of a phoenix is required by experienced magicians to safely summon phoenixes. Maybe in this life I too will be able to summon a phoenix. Jilly, bringing food, distracted her young master from his thoughts, and she said, Lady Mary gave you a wonderful gift before she left. Please eat it while it's still warm. But before that, said Jin, brothers, if you have business with me, then tell me why you came. The twins looked at the plate with the prepared heart and drooled. Not at all. Isn't that too much food for you alone? Said Dayton. That's right. Jilly was running around with such a huge pot the other day. Hyten chimed in. Do you want to eat this soup that badly? The Ton brothers nodded in unison. Then fulfill one request of mine, Jin smiled. Wait, why are we even doing this? Exactly. There's nothing here, so what does he want? The Ton brothers swore, but continued digging somewhere deep underground. What if someone finds out we're digging here? Why should we care? If anyone gets into trouble, it'll be the little ones. While the twins were fulfilling Jin's request and dreaming of phoenix heart soup, somewhere below them the ceiling of some room was shaking. In the center of this very room stood a huge transparent vessel with a man and liquid inside. The man was surrounded by a black fog. His eyes were closed, and there were barely noticeable scales on his face. Meanwhile, at Thunder Castle, the maid was surprised by the twins' return. Welcome, big brothers. You're back sooner than I expected. Shut up, just like you asked. Give us some soup, the dirty and tired Ton brothers scolded. Here, I left you some. Jin pointed towards the table. The brothers were happy about this, but on the table in an empty plate, there were only 2 spoons filled with soup. Hayden and Dayton couldn't believe it. They got angry and started arguing, to which the younger brother calmly replied that he didn't specify how much soup he would leave. The promise is fulfilled. Bon appetit, big brothers. Jean left the twins alone in the dining room. The hero took the bag and left the castle and went outside, heading to the place where the twins had been digging earlier. I thought they would take my request in any way they could, but everything was done as I asked. He stood in a cave, and in front of him was a smooth wall. Jin tapped on it. A first-rank spell would be enough for this thickness. It was extremely boring to save up all this mana and not use it. A huge magic circle formed in front of the hero. Part of the wall collapsed and a passage formed in the wall. Finally, I'm here. Jin stood in front of the closed doors. Runkindle. Secret library. I never got to go here in my past life, so I feel a little strange now. I think the older brothers said that a special phrase was needed to open it. Jin grinned, bowed his head and said, Child of Runkindel, it is time to comfort Murakan. The doors in front of him vibrated and opened. The secret library of Runkindel. This place holds many tomes from the clans that the Runkindel have exterminated over the last 1,000 years. The hero walked inside, amazed by its size. Only Runkindel commanders are allowed to enter here. In the past, my elder brother said that it was useless for me to know about this place since I could not become a commander. But still, I managed to learn something useful, brother. And as you can see, I made good use of this knowledge, Jin spoke to himself. And then something caught his eye. What is this? In front of the hero stood a large, transparent, cylindrical tank with water, in which there was a man. If you look closely, you can see scales on his face. Is he not human? Jin wondered. The child came closer and touched the vessel. What is he doing here? Jin suddenly realized who it was as soon as he remembered the special phrase he said when he entered the library. Child of Runkundel, it is time to console Murakan. Black Dragon Murakan? The hero suggested. I heard that he lost to the first head of the house and I fell into a deep sleep, just to think that it was all true. Oh, okay, there's no time for that now. Where are the secret tomes? Are they there? Jin turned away from the dragon in the tank and went to look for the records. At this time, Murakan's hand moved slightly. The child opened another door and finally found the right room. He stood in front of the shelf and looked at the books on it. Here it is. I'll start with a volume from the once famous Kungan swordsman clan. Jin took out and leafed through the book. The content is a bit difficult to understand with knowledge of the third rank theory. I should take the tome with me, but I might get caught. The boy took a pen and a notebook out of his bag. So I'll come and copy it little by little. So day after day in Thunder Castle, Jin studied his notes. And in the library, he continued to rewrite another book. One such day, when the hero was copying a tome in the family's secret library, he heard someone's footsteps and became alarmed. The boy opened the door slightly and, looking through the crack, tried to understand who it could be. It can't be. No one would come to the library of Thunder Castle now. Hey, who are you? The menacing man opened the door and stared at Jin. Murakan? The hero thought in surprise. What the hell? In his past life, nothing was said about him being able to wake up. Calm down. Murakan is our family's guardian dragon. Jin tried to calm down. So if I'm polite and pretend to be an ordinary child, maybe he won't do anything to me. As a child of Runkundel, I greet the guardian of our family, the boy said timidly. The dragon went berserk and screamed, The Guardian? The Guardian? Did you just call me a pathetic guardian? Murakan yelled at the child. Why do you ignorant bastards treat me like some kind of guardian? Damn bastards of the Runkundel family. How dare you tell people such things? I can't take all my anger out on this runt. Damn! The dragon exhaled and calmed down. I woke up because I smelled a good smell, for the first time in a long time. But only this scoundrel turned up here, huh? Murakan looked closely at the uncomprehending Jin. You! The dragon began to sniff the child. Why do you smell of his spiritual energy? I may have slept for 1,000 years, but I still remember that smell very well. That thick aroma of spiritual energy. Such a smell can only be found in those who have made a pact. Like Tamar did in his time, the hero suddenly realized that the reason why Murakan woke up was his spiritual energy, and the dragon kept trying to figure out where this good smell was coming from. Why don't I check something? Jin smiled. Sir Murakan. Oh, right. You know something, right? The dragon rejoiced. Perhaps you are talking about this? The child answered. In his hands was a black ball of energy. My father said that this is the power of the God of Shadows, Lord Soldred. Murakan couldn't believe it. He fell to his knees and started crying. The treaty promised 1,000 years ago turned out to be with this little brat? There was silence in the room. Hey man, the devastated Murakan suddenly spoke. I made a promise to Soldred, and the person I'm supposed to help, according to it, seems to be you. Jin tried to understand what the dragon meant and what promise he was talking about. I'll tell you all the details a little later. I just woke up, so I'm still a little confused, continued Murakan. Besides, it will be difficult for a child your age to understand everything. So I must formally introduce myself to the man Soldred has chosen. I am Murakan, Soldred's confidant. Darkness began to surround the dragon. Murakan's hand changed from human to dragon's, his friend. The head also began to change. A dragon tail and wings appeared, and the last descendant of the primordial shadows. Following my 1,000-year promise, from today onwards, I will be by your side. A giant black dragon stood in front of Jin. The child was shocked and could not believe that he would help him. State your name, man chosen by Soldred, said Murakan, and brought his dragon claw closer to him. Gin Runkundel, the hero introduced himself, hitting his claw with his fist and continued. The 13th and youngest child of the Runkundel family. Murakan Peak is the name given to the mountain on which the Thunder Castle is located. Who is the black dragon Murakan? A powerful creature that ruled these lands for a long time. However, 1,000 years ago, the dragon fell at the hands of the first head of the Runkundel family. Tamar, they say, having abandoned his lands, Murakan fell into a deep sleep. He was not our enemy, on the contrary. Murakhan is the guardian and good friend of the first head of the family, Jin thought after some time, leaving the castle. A man who makes a pact with God is accompanied by a guardian dragon. But nothing was known about Soldred's guardian dragon until now. Now it's clear why no one knew about Murakhan. Murakhan, I'm back. Jin entered the library and greeted the guardian dragon in human form. From now on, I'll be with Murakhan, so it's worth getting to know him better right away, the hero thought, handing over the box of food to the joyful dragon. After waking up, Murakhan didn't leave the library for several weeks. Huh? Why did I fight Tamar? It was 1,000 years ago. Do you think I still remember? With his mouth full and lying on the floor, the dragon waved off the boy's questions. More importantly, is that all the strawberry pies you have? You're talking about pies again, Jin sighed, and realized that Murakhan was crazy about strawberry pies. By the way, what do you do every time you come here? Copies. I copy books to take with me. If I take the originals of the volumes, my visits to the library may be found out. Wow, do you even understand what they're talking about? Jin shook his head. About 30%? I'm not sure I can understand more than that. Don't be upset. You're doing great for your age. Other kids wouldn't even try, Murakhan tried to console. Others, yes, but in Runkindel it is an average level, the boy said seriously. There are 12 more children in the family, in addition to the father, mother, and elders. If I want to surpass them, I have to work much harder. How much do you think the first head of the family would understand, Murakhan, after reading this book? If you compare me to the strongest known being in history, what level do I stand in comparison to him? Temarum, the dragon thought, and then answered. At your age, he could not understand a single sentence from this book. But the theory is very different from the actual battle. He fought well even without reading it. Murakhan shook himself and stood up. Like Tamar, you also have talent, but not as outstanding. These words were a blow to Jin. So, I'll never be as strong as the first chapter? Murakhan did not answer for a long time. You made a pact with Soldred, just like Tamar, and you have enough brains to read such books. You're still a kid, so train hard and just be patient. The dragon patted the boy on the head. If you follow my advice, you will become as strong as Tamar, perhaps even surpass him. Do you think so? Murakhan answered confidently. Of course, boy. Do you know what Soldred's nickname is? Limitless? Soldred has limitless power. And since this is so, then you, as the chosen one, have the same potential. What are you so upset about? I'll teach you a new skill to make you feel better. The dragon patted Jin on the back encouragingly. Release of the spirit, Murakhan said with a grin. The hero, trying to clarify, asked again. This skill must be possessed by all who use soul energy. It is the basis of everything connected with its application. But keep in mind, it is extremely dangerous if used without preparation, so take your time and study this skill thoroughly. Okay, I get it. What do I need to do? First, master the mana release. Mana release? Why? Jin remembered doing this hundreds of times in his past life. Murakhan replied while pointing with his fingers. Spirit release involves mana emission and mana transmission, so you need to master these skills to the proper level. You will study them for, say, 2 or 3 years. The hero frowned. Too long a period. The dragon spread his arms and said, I can't teach you anything worthwhile if you don't know the basics, can I? Oh, and take note that the next step is transferring mana. While he was speaking, Jin had already released his mana and showed it to Murakhan. Here, now I can study it? The shocked guardian dragon couldn't understand how the boy could release mana. Just don't tell me that you also have mastered mana transmission? Jin immediately demonstrated his mastery. Damn it. Only geniuses can do this. You really are very talented. Okay, I'll show you what soul release looks like, the hero rejoiced. The talent of the shadow spirit, Murakhan began the demonstration, is ultimately drawn from the shadows. Every shadow in this world is born by the will of Soldred, so he owns all the shadows. And you are the only chosen one of Soldred. The shadows began to move from all sides. They began to move quickly throughout the room. So you too can become the master of all shadows. How do you like it, boy? It's a release of the spirit. Jin was delighted with the skill the dragon showed. Meanwhile, somewhere in the mountains, among the dense forest, Miss Luna, the area has been cleared. There are still 5 areas left, and the mission will be completed, the knight reported to the girl. Yes, I think 4 months will be enough. Tell the knights to rest, Luna answered. Speaking of which, what do ordinary 9-year-olds like? The girl's weapon was covered in blood, and behind her lay a mountain of monster corpses. Half a year after meeting Murakhan, the Tan twins turned 10 years old and left Thunder Castle. And the hero, Young Master, Gilly called. Happy 9th birthday! Jin turned 9 years old. Thank you, Gilly. Can you share the cake with everyone? Yes, young master. Young master Jin. Their conversation was interrupted by Kan. I apologize for the unexpected visit. Did something happen? The boy asked. Lady Luna has come to visit you. The hero and his nanny clearly did not expect such a guest and were very surprised. The first commander of the Runkandle family and a 9th-rank knight, the eldest of 13 children, the white whale, Luna Runkandle. The strongest of the current brothers and sisters, Runkandel, does not want to be the head of the family, nor does she participate in the disgusting war for the inheritance. Runkandel is truly a white whale who swims alone. Because of this, she never took an interest in her younger children. To the point that I felt like an outsider rather than a member of the family. We were so far apart, Jean recalled. But why did she come to Thunder Castle so suddenly? Did something happen in the family? The boy thought. Or maybe she found out about my visits to the library. Sister Luna, Jin greeted the girl who approached him. And you've grown up, brother. If you had told me in advance, I would have worn something more suitable for meeting you. It's cute, but do I need to warn you to see your little brother? The hero felt a hand land on his head and gently stroke his hair. You don't look well. Are you sick? Luna was worried. It's not that. I'm just a little nervous. This is my first time talking to you, so I can't help myself. Are you nervous? To crush and take everything from each other. Such are the customs of Runkandel. Does Jin really think I came to scare him? Luna thought seriously. She finally said, I see. It seems you didn't understand me. Jilly watched what was happening with concern. You may be young, but you are still a member of the Runkandle family, Luna continued, bowing her head. I apologize. Jin, my little brother. The girl knelt down on one knee in front of the boy. I would like to be left alone. May I ask for it? She wants to talk to me in person, Jin realized. Okay, sister. The boy didn't know the reason, but it seemed to him that Luna wouldn't do anything bad to him. They moved into the office and sat down in chairs, continuing their conversation. The reason I came to you so unexpectedly is that I need to tell you something. When your father came to see you in person, you became the center of attention in the whole house. That means when you leave Thunder Castle, the girl continued, taking the child's hand, all your brothers and sisters will try to control you. But Jean, I don't want you to get caught up in this family's mess and feel miserable. I wouldn't want the Runkandel family's dirty customs to harm you. So that's why she gave up the idea of becoming the head of the family, Jin reasoned. If she doesn't want me to suffer from family squabbles, then why didn't she warn me in my past life? Was it because I was unworthy of her attention, or was it because my siblings didn't see me as a rival? Jin patted the girl's hand soothingly and said, Sister, I am very grateful to you for these words, but I already have a reason why I don't intend to participate in this. Jin, seriously, I'm not saying this because I think you're a threat to my future. Luna tried to convince her brother. I know, sister, but there has already been an attempt on my life. The child remembered the curse of the blade illusion. The girl was greatly shocked by this discovery. That's why, in this battle, Jin was saying, but then Luna interrupted him. You mean that in the Thunder Castle? The air around the girl shook, and nearby objects broke. Luna was furious. Did one of your relatives try to kill you? Having calmed down, she tried to find out from her younger brother, who tried to kill him, but he himself did not know who did it. They tried, but look at me, I'm fine, the child reassured his sister. I'm so glad you helped me realize that not all my brothers and sisters hate me. Gin, my honest little brother. The girl squatted down in front of the boy and pulled him into her warm embrace. In that case, you have already gotten into our family's squabbles. This news makes me very sad. She stroked the hero's head soothingly. Sister Luna turned out to be a sensitive person, Jin thought, and asked her not to be sad. You're right. You shouldn't only talk about the bad on such a wonderful day. It's your birthday today, the girl smiled. Actually, I came here today to give you a gift. She took out a small box from the inside pocket of her clothes. Luna opened the box, revealing a pendant made of a large blue stone, framed in silver. She took the pendant and asked her brother to turn around. Just once when you're in a desperate situation, the girl put the pendant on Jin. Break the blue stone in this pendant. Then, no matter where you are, I will come to your aid. So don't forget about it and always carry it with you. Happy 9th birthday, Jean. Thanks, sis. After the conversation, the brother and sister drank tea together with a cake that Jilly baked. I have to go. Luna stood up and headed towards the door. Okay, have a nice trip, Jin said goodbye to her. That same day, the hero went to the library where he was met by Murakun. Oh, you're back, brat. What's that on your neck? Jin, surprised by the question, replied that it was a birthday present. Yeah, I don't know who gave it to you, but apparently this person cares about you very much. Do you even know what kind of pendant this is? The dragon pointed at the pendant. What is this pendant? It belonged to the king of beasts, Orgel. 1,000 years ago, countless people died trying to get this pendant. Is this such a cool item? Of course. It gives you resistance to any magical attack below rank 5, enhances the wearer's magical skills, and I think it has a summoning function, Murakan began to list. And you know a lot. What can I say? At that time it was the peak of my activity. Orgalu was a very famous demon. Anyway, I guess it was given to you by that person with a strong aura who came here. Yes, my older sister came. Wait, could you sense her energy from here? Jin handed the pieces of cake to the dragon. Yeah, your sister should have felt me too. What? You don't think she'll tell the others, do you? You're worrying for nothing. She's the older sister who gave you such a valuable gift like it was nothing. After that, do you really think she'll report her younger brother? Do you think so? Yes, she can be trusted. Murakan was already chewing the cake, admiring its taste. It's worth pretending that I don't know anything yet. Meanwhile, Luna stood near the library and, as she thought, felt a strong energy that was not there before. But remember, Jin, my dear little brother, no matter what you do or who you become, I will always support you, the girl said out loud before leaving. I thought that the time spent in Thunder Castle would be extremely useless, but on the contrary, I received a lot. Recognition and my father's expectations. Phoenix Heart received from Sister Mary, support from older sister Luna, and the meeting with the guardian dragon Murakan, Jin recalled. I could not even dream of all this in my past life. Soon I turned 10 years old, and I began preparing for the trip home. One of these training sessions was underway, during which Jin sparred with Khan in hand-to-hand combat. As expected, he is someone the leader might be interested in, the knight thought during their training. Usually I judge such people, but these eyes seem to be judging me this time. That's all for today. Khan ended their fight and then turned to the young master. Jin asked, Is something wrong? Is there a problem with our training? The knight bowed to the boy. It was an honor to train you. You will be leaving Thunder Castle very soon. I promise you that I will do my best to teach you as much as possible by the end of this period. To Khan's words, Jin replied confidently, Until then, I will count on you. A little later, the boy was sitting in his room and experimenting with a lit candle. Young master? Jilly saw Jean holding her fingers in the candle flame. My God, aren't you hot? No, it feels like warm water now. I'm glad the gift, Lady Mary, has already had a positive effect. I've only heard about the effect of the Phoenix Heart, and this is the first time I've seen it happen in practice. Me too. The hero thought, I've only absorbed about half of it? I'll probably get all the effects from the heart in a few years. Young master, we leave the castle tomorrow morning. The nanny was packing Jin's things into a suitcase. Warn me in advance if you need anything. Jilly noticed the books lying on the bed. Young master, should I put these books separately? Yes, I'll read them on the way. Got it. Is there anything else that needs to be packed separately? Just books. Okay, I'll make strawberry pie for dessert today. Yeah, save me. Right. Jin remembered something, got up from the table and ran. Jilly, I'm going out for a moment. I'm sorry, I'll be back soon. The boy left the confused maid alone in the room. Murakan? Oh boy, are you here? Jin walked into the library. You remember that we are leaving the castle tomorrow, right? Of course, I have been waiting for this day for a long time. How will you follow me? The hero worried. Don't worry about such trifles, kid. I am the legendary Shadow Dragon. No matter how weak I am, it's easy for me. I'll make sure to follow you carefully so I can't be seen. Are you weak? And you're telling me such an important thing only now? Come on. I've been sleeping for the last 1,000 years. Do you think I'll be in perfect shape after this? Jin couldn't help but ask if he could regain his former strength, to which Murakan responded positively. Of course, I will become stronger with you because I am your guardian dragon after all. So hurry up and become a powerful mage swordsman like Tamar. You said that Runkendel was originally a family of mage swordsmen, right? Jin remembered how Soldred told him about this in his past life. Originally, the Runkendel family only had magical swordsmen, and the first head was the strongest of them. But almost no one knows this now, the hero thought. The reason why the current Runkendel rejected magic and began to study only swordsmanship was because of the humiliating pact made 1,000 years ago. Murakan began to explain. People still call me the guardian of the family, but I'm sure they would be very embarrassed if I appeared in front of them. If this had happened 1,000 years ago, everyone would have run as fast as they could, horrified by the fact that you were next to the most respected creature in the world. The guardian dragon was proud. Jin hesitated. Do you think Runkendel would really do that? Doubt it? In any case, I'll hide well, so don't worry. Okay, what do we do with this? Jin pointed to the broken, empty vessel where the dragon once slept. We'll be exposed if someone comes and this thing turns out to be empty. I'll use dragon magic to create a copy of myself. What if they realize he's a fake? Murakin got angry. Hey, I'm a shadow dragon, you know. Creating a copy of myself is so easy that I can do it with my eyes closed, so don't worry. But, as I said, I still haven't recovered all my strength, so it will be difficult to maintain it for a long time. I will continue in the same spirit until you grow up, the dragon said confidently. Okay, thanks for your concern, the boy smiled. I wish you respected me more after this. Actually, I brought something special today. What is it? A pie made from the first batch of strawberries this year, and some wine I stole when Jilly wasn't looking. Jean pulled a bottle of wine and a box of pie from his bag. Murakin was happy. Just don't make a bad copy when you're drunk. Who do you take me for, you charming little rascal? This is a reward for raising you. Maybe you can introduce me to your nanny? The day of departure home has already come, young master. When you return home, don't expect quiet days, of course. You trained hard when you were here, but there will be more work there, and it will be more difficult for you. Don't worry, Jin reassured. I'll work hard when I get home. Young Master Jin, Knights Jerome and Holtz at your service. Two men appeared before the hero. Until you reach the Sword Garden, we will accompany you. Yes, please. And so the boy, accompanied by his nanny and two knights, set out on their journey. 1790, October 30th, Jean finally left Storm Castle, and he headed in a carriage to the main abode of Runkendel, the Garden of Swords. Oh my God, snow, Jilly broke the silence. I think it's going to get worse. We'll have to wait it out in the next snowstorm. We can't get through the teleportation gate in this weather. Okay. Suddenly the carriage stopped abruptly, causing Jean and Jilly to lose their balance. Young master, the knights accompanying them shouted outside. Ambush, stay inside the carriage. Everything is fine, young master, don't worry, the nanny reassured. Jerome and Holtz are 7th rank knights, and I am also next to you. There are 20 warriors and mages, maybe some archers. I don't think there's anyone higher than rank 7 except for Jerome and Schultz. The child interrupted his nanny sharply and shouted to her, Gilly, we need to get out of the carriage immediately. What? The Runkendel guards would never just leave a child of a family without protection. At least one of the two must be with me. Jilly immediately understood what her young master meant. It turns out that they are either fake escorts or traitors. There may be some kind of device installed in the carriage. We need to escape, Jilly. All right, young master. From now on, as a servant of the Runkendel family, I will protect you. The nanny revealed her hidden weapon, claws reminiscent of a bear's claws. Please understand me if I am a little rough with you. Jilly grabbed the boy, climbed out of the carriage with him in her arms, and ran ahead through the winter forest, saying that she must be punished for this incident upon arrival at the family estate. Gilly, now is not the time to worry about this. Jean stopped her and directed her. Let's go to those two knights. We need to check if the attackers could be our allies. If I were their target, then as soon as we ran out of the carriage, they would have tried to kill us. But it was suspiciously quiet around, the boy analyzed. Meanwhile, a little further away from them, a one-eyed man commanded, Find Jean Runkendel. Group 3 cover the left flank. The boy, seeing this, was convinced that he was right, and Jilly noticed the identification marks of the people. The crest with the leaf belonged to the Yuta family, a clan of mages from Mittel, and the pattern with the black beast belonged to the mercenaries of the Black King. One of the magicians who was standing on the hill, noticing the girl with the child, shouted, Over there! I see Jilly McCrollan. I confirm, Jean Runkendel is alive. A picture appeared before the hero. Schultz and Jerome were surrounded on all sides. One of these people immediately ran to the young master Runkendel and introduced himself. I am Murkayo, vice captain of the 3rd squad of the Black King's mercenaries. At the request of your family, we will protect you. You bastards, how dare you touch the young master, he said to the fake escort knights. Jin thought, this wasn't a betrayal, but rather they weren't the real escorts to begin with. If they were actually 7th rank knights, it wouldn't be difficult to deal with these yin squads. Who are you? State your purpose and intentions. Jilly tried to find out more information. Jerome shouted back, Do you really think we're going to tell Runkendel's dog everything? What should I do, young master? Kill one, then cut off the other's hands and bring them to me, Jin ordered. His nanny immediately began to carry out her master's order, and one knight was quickly beheaded. The other one, without even having time to fight back, was deprived of his arms. It seems that your masters have underestimated us too much, the hero said. To become a servant of the Runkendel family, you need to be at least a 7th rank martial artist. To kill Runkendel's child, It would be worth sending at least 3 or 4 knights of the 8th rank. Don't make me laugh, shouted the still-living fake knight. This is just a warning. The era of Runcandle will soon end. Actually, I strive for this too, the hero answered calmly, which greatly surprised those standing nearby. Instead of the era of Runcandle's rule, I want the era of Jin Runcandle's power to come. This infuriated Schultz, who shouted, "Glory to the great Zippels!" The Zippels, a clan of mages who rule the rest of the world, the boy recalled. The opposite of the Runcandle family, while some strive to reach the peak of mastery of the sword, this family aims for mastery of magic. 1,000 years ago, when the first head of House Runcandle died, the Zippels forced Runcandle into a humiliating pact that forbade its members from using magic, which is the reason for the suppression of magical abilities in our family. It was curious to know who could dare to commit such a daring act, said Jean, a follower of the Zippel family. Jilly, throw him somewhere nearby, there's no point in interrogating him. While the knight was still blaming the hero, he was once again lost in thought. Of course, even for the Zippels, Runcandle are sworn enemies, even though they constantly terrorize Runcandle. But today's incident is different from their usual antics, more like an attack by independent extremists. Something's wrong here, the boy said. It doesn't matter how clever your disguise is. It's extremely difficult to fool a 7th-rank martial artist. Could it be that guy's interference? The familiar image of a fat man wearing glasses popped into his mind. Jin turned around and addressed the one-eyed man. You are Mercayo, vice captain of the Black King's mercenaries, aren't you? Yes, sir. Thanks to your distraction, we were able to escape once we reached our estate. I will report your exploits. The family will repay you in full. Also, please take care of me until we reach the gate. We will do everything in our power, the vice captain replied. What kind of a child is this? He thought. Despite the fact that he is a descendant of Runcandle, he left the castle for the first time. He is only 10 years old, but he is already confident in himself and behaves with dignity. Perhaps his words about the era of Jean Runcandle's power were not just childish chatter. All of you, listen carefully, the one-eyed man addressed his squad of mercenaries. Until we get to the gate, control yourselves. Think about your actions, understand? The squad members were extremely indignant at the order. Gilly interrupted their conversation. Vice Captain Mercayo, I think we can move out. Yes, sir, then let's hurry, the mercenary replied with a strained smile. The hero, the nanny, and their entourage set out on foot. Is it okay that we just abandoned those imposters there? They will be found alive or dead, but they will serve as a good example for their comrades. There should be a village in about 2 hours, Gilly informed her master. Then we'll have to wait there until the storm subsides. By the way, Gilly, don't be upset about the escort incident. It's not your fault. Even the 9th-rank Knight Khan didn't notice it. For a warrior of the 7th rank like you, it is even more difficult. It will not be difficult for me to tell you what a guardian knight should do. The nanny apologized, and the hero only realized that she hadn't changed at all. The Runcandle family's nannies share the fates of the children they care for, Gilly being my nanny in a past life. And the family looked down on her because of me, who had no abilities. But despite this, she never blamed me for it, Jean recalled. When I was expelled, she was also ordered to leave with me. Then Gilly said, I am sorry that I could not serve you properly, young master. She bowed her head and apologized. That's how she was then, so I don't want to be rude to her. But now things are different, so Gilly has to become stronger. The nanny interrupted the hero's thoughts. Young master, I will accept any punishment you deem necessary for what happened. Stop blaming yourself. That's an order, Gilly. You may be my nanny, but you are also the only guardian I have right now. If even now such trifles throw you off track, in the future there may also be problems with support. So don't make me repeat myself. Is everything clear? Yes, young master. I will try my best to improve. Young master, he cares about me so much, he told me this personally. So I need to be on guard so as not to cause him any more trouble. I will do my best, Gilly thought. Jin, seeing that his words raised her spirit, was happy. Finally, the hero and his entourage reached the settlement and immediately checked into a local hotel. At this time, the boy could not get out of his head the person who was involved in the incident with the imposter knights. If my guess is correct, then there is a high probability that it was the reincarnator Bubar Gaston, he reasoned as he climbed up to his room. Transformation is a dragon trait, but not all dragons can transform perfectly. Bubar is the only one capable of this, and he used this ability to commit many crimes and plunge the world into chaos. If Bubar is really behind this, it will be quite a problem, as long as he hasn't done anything to give him away. The boy reached his room and began to settle in, continuing to remember Bubar. In his past life, he was arrested by a special squad of Biment when I was 20. If he becomes my ally, he will be extremely useful. The more the hero thought, the more he yawned. But I have no reason to trust a man who has already attacked me. Before Bubar gets himself into more trouble, I need to find out if anything is different from my past life. Jilly, who was unpacking, turned around, saying she would stay outside, and saw the child already sleeping. Outside the window, a cat was meowing loudly. This woke Jin up. He stretched and thought, even despite my persistent training in the Thunder Castle, I think such loads are still too much for the body of a 10-year-old child. Then he turned around to the sounds that did not stop and saw a black cat right on his window. A moment later, the boy remembered his last conversation with Murakan and realized, so that's what you meant when you said you would follow me very secretly. You turned into a cat. The hero opened the window and let the animal into the room, saying, I didn't expect this, so you surprised me. I thought you would turn into a servant or a rider. Hey, if I did that, the knights from your family would immediately understand. The dissatisfied Murakan transformed into his human form. One wrong move from the dragon and the uneven floor of the hotel, and Murakan falls, his head crashing through the windowsill. Jilly immediately runs up to the noise, already in combat readiness. Young master, are you okay? You worthless piece of shit! How dare you try to harm the young master? Enraged, Gilly was already holding the fallen dragon by the throat. Tell me everything you know before I tear you to pieces. Who are you? Name your target. Wait, Jilly, this man… Jean tried to calm his nanny, but then Murakan, hearing that the girl's name was Jilly, changed. Jilly, my strawberry pie, we finally met. The nanny was at a loss as to why they were addressing her like that. After everyone in the room had calmed down, Jin introduced Gilly Murakan without holding anything back. This humble servant of Runkindle has shown disrespect to the guardian of the family. Please forgive me. Do not worry, my strawberry pie. I forgive you with pleasure. Lord Murakan, may I ask why you call me that? It's because you make these wonderful, amazing, perfect strawberry pies. Gilly immediately realized that her young master had asked her to make strawberry pies every day for the dragon's sake. Jin asked his nanny to sit down and calmly explain that he had made a deal with Soldred, that he was studying magic, and also about the guardian dragon. Jilly said happily, I'm incredibly happy to be your nanny. In any case, now you are an accomplice to this story. The family must not know that Murakan has awakened, and we are connected to him. Yes, young master, I will be careful. You don't need to be so nervous, Strawberry Shortcake. I will be by this rascal's side. Thank you for your concern, Lord Murakan. Wait! Gilly remembered why she ran into the boy's room. That loud sound in your room, was it because Lord Murakan transformed into a human? Well, that's… The dragon was embarrassed to answer. Because I tripped. The next day, a group of mercenaries escorted a child with a cat on his shoulder and a nanny to Mittel to the teleportation gate. Gilly thanked them. Thank you for everything, mercenaries of the Black King. The Runkindle family will soon pay you for your work. Thank you. It was a good experience for us, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for the young Runkindle you serve. By the way, Jilly Macrelin, I have a question. Yes? Why would someone with your extraordinary abilities leave the Macrelin family to become a nanny for another family's child? There is no reason worth mentioning, the girl answered briefly. I understand. Please forgive my rudeness. The group of mercenaries said goodbye to Jin and his nanny. A child, a girl, and a cat entered the teleportation gate building, where they were greeted and asked for identification. Gilly showed the Runkindle family crest and said that they needed to go to Callan, the Highfest Union. The employee asked to follow him to the teleportation site. If you wait here for 2 hours, you will be transported to the desired location in an instant. Have a good trip. He left the group of people in a large deserted room and said goodbye. Jean and Jilly sat down on the sofa, after which the girl spoke. I am very worried about you, young master, if they find out about Murakana or anything else. But we cannot remain silent about magic. This is the only thing that is strictly forbidden in the Runkindle family. Don't worry, I know this very well, so I will carefully hide it. Then they heard someone enter the room. It was a guy with long platinum hair accompanied by 2 guards. The hero looked closely and saw a coat of arms with a golden dragon, the coat of arms of the Zypel family. The guy sat down on the sofa opposite Jean and said with displeasure, I knew it wasn't worth going to Hufster today, just to think that I'd meet these scum. Jilly was unhappy with these words, but Jin ignored everything that was said. Only the cat decided to come closer to the long-haired guy. Oh, although your cat is cute, come here, Zypel beckoned with his hand. But the cat scratched him badly. The guards wanted to rush at him, but were immediately stopped. It's okay. It's just an animal's prank. Apparently trying to start a fight just caused me trouble. It's very stupid to draw a sword in front of the Runkindel family members. Out of curiosity, I wanted to piss him off, but he didn't react in any way, Ziepel analyzed. That means Runkindel's youngest son is very cold-blooded. He stood up, walked over to Jean, extended his hand, and introduced himself. I am Veridin Ziepel. I would like to apologize for my rude behavior. Veridin Ziepel, the hero recalled his past life, a brilliant magician and a worthy contender for the place of the head of the Ziepel family in the future. He was very popular among young magicians, since he has a noble character and brilliant skills. There was a huge gap between us when I was a magician. To think I met him at such an early age is an awkward feeling. I see. I was also curious about what kind of person you are, said Jin. I'm glad to see that you're not just an idiot. What made you decide that? If they had drawn their swords after your prank, you would have ended up wandering Hufester unguarded, and perhaps even lost at least 2 fingers. Veridin laughed, not taking Jin's words seriously. The hero looked coldly at Ziepel. Do you think I'm joking? Okay, but let me give you some advice. If you ever meet Ziepel again and find yourself in a similar situation, don't cut off their fingers in the heat of the moment. It will only cause a lot of problems for both of our families. Now that's a funny joke, Veridin Ziepel. Do you really think that my father, Chiron Runkindel, and yours, Keliak Ziepel, Jean reasoned, would you start a war between families because of a child's fight? And that's true. Even if I lost a few fingers, it would all be worth a small monetary compensation. You taught me something today. I will make sure to repay you one day. It will hardly be useful later. Return it now. Good. With pleasure. Veridin was impatiently waiting for how he could return the debt right now. Until the gate is activated, I want you to remain silent and not disturb me. Ziepel's face was blank, but he quickly came to his senses and began to circle around Jin. Jean Runkindel. I think that in a few years he will become a good guy. Veridin looked closely. If it were not for the feud between our families, I would ask him to become my friend. But in general, he can become my sworn enemy because he is Runkindel. The hero quickly got tired and thought, what an annoying guy. How can he behave like this if he almost lost his fingers recently? Maybe something is wrong with him. His thoughts were interrupted by an announcement saying that teleportation would begin soon, so he was asked to prepare. As the teleportation began, Veridin shouted enthusiastically at the end, "Today was fun, let's meet again!" To which Jin dryly refused. And finally, after teleportation, riding in a carriage, the hero finally arrives home. He is met at the gate by the deputy chief butler, Petro. Welcome to the Runkindel family's main estate, the Garden of Swords. Only those who achieved special heights and contributed to the prosperity of the Runkindel family were given the opportunity to leave their sword in the garden. It symbolizes all the dreams and honor of the Runkindel family. Petro led the boy, the cat, and the nanny right past all these swords. Jin thought that there was a time when he also wanted to leave his sword after death. He remembered his past life again. Back then, I was weak because I had no abilities, no leadership qualities, no intelligence. So when I tried, I looked stupid. But in this life, living in this hole seems worthwhile. Jean, with the cat on his shoulder, and Jilly approached the estate, where the head of the Runkindel house and several other family members were waiting on the porch. Long time no see, Jean. Rose Runkindel, the mistress of the estate, also known as the Black Panther, was the first to greet her son. While the hero greeted her in return, everyone's attention was drawn to the animal on the child's shoulder. You found him on the street? Yes, father, I tamed him. Chiron was impressed. I like the cheek you give, he said to the child. Yes, Runkindel should express themselves that way when they get something. My son, what did you name him? Rose picked up the cat in her arms. Nabi Runkindel, mother. The children who also met Jin were outraged. What right does he have to give a family name to some animal? The father stopped them and then turned to his younger son. That's why you gave this cat the name Runkindel? To be responsible for him. He may be just an animal, but he is the first living creature I have tamed. So I wanted his name to have some meaning. It's interesting, but Jean, you do understand what this decision entails, don't you? Yes, I realize this. If someone harms Nabi, it means that I have to respond in kind. Jin, you seem to have a talent for making enemies. Look at the way your brothers and sisters are staring at you. It seems so, but I have to get rid of my enemies, father. Chiron smiled widely as he said, Then it turns out that things are already on edge just because they have to put up with our impudent youngest child. 4 years later, it was early summer 1794. Jean was already 14, a knight of the second rank, a new cadet. Low-ranked Knight Cadet instructor Garin Altamiro finished Jin's training on the training grounds. Only morning classes today? The hero asked. There's a training session with Lady Luna planned for today, have you forgotten already? Right, then I'll go to it after I eat. Are you going to eat with the other cadets again today? Mrs. Rose doesn't really like… Jean interrupted Garen. Everything is fine. I just don't want to start a silent war with my relatives during meal times. I understand, then I'll tell them. Young master, I have brought you some food. The blonde cadet of the 13 Belab Schmitz handed a tray with a portion of food to Jin, who thanked him. The hero recalled information from his past life about Belab, that he would soon be kicked out of the ranks of Runkendel during training, deprived of his cadet rights, and expelled. Jin looked at Belab for a long time, who was happily eating his portion, and then asked if the food was tasty. The blonde boy began to babble that he was grateful to the Runkendel family, that they gave him meat quite often, that Jin always shared meat with him, to which the hero replied, You said that yesterday too. Did you learn it by heart or something? Belab, sometimes you should be more laconic. People despise you because you talk too much. Do not be discouraged and gather the remains of your dignity. Be proud that you are a cadet of the Knights of Runkendel. But my grades are below the plinth, and I haven't even reached the first rank, Belab replied, to which Jin countered. Being a cadet of the Runkendel family is already a heavy burden, even if you are at the bottom here. You are an elite, compared to other 13-year-olds in the world, you understand? Yeah, the boy said sadly. The hero only thought that he was not surprised that the family had abandoned the too submissive Belab. However, in the future, he joined the Hiron family, another swordsman family, became a loyal dog of the Biment Empire, following the path of a heartless butcher, the youngest child Runkendel began to remember. I was very surprised when I learned that he had become part of the Imperial Guard, and was soon saddened by the news that he would commit suicide if I did not intervene in Belab's fate. Jin transferred the pieces of meat to the 13-year-old's plate, which made him very happy, and thanked him. This time I will look after you and you will not be expelled from our ranks, the hero promised in his mind. Living an unsuccessful life once is more than enough. After dinner, Jin walked through the corridors and counted what he had achieved during his years in the Garden of Swords. The release of rank 2 soul energy, rank 4 mana, and sword skills at rank 2. Everything is going smoothly. At this rate, I can become a rank 3 swordsman in just 2 years, he estimated. It was time for training with her older sister Luna. The girl was already waiting for her brother on the training ground. My dear little brother, today's training will be similar to yesterday's, but you should perceive the same training differently every day. Little brother, follow your heart. Learning this skill is very important. For those who follow the path of the sword, do not open your eyes. Jin followed Luna's instructions, but he didn't understand how to go about this training. The Call of the Heart is a stage of enlightenment for knights of the 7th rank and above, and she is trying to teach it despite the fact that I am a 2nd rank. The hero was indignant. Moreover, this skill is very similar to the aura emission. But Luna does not use aura during this training. I don't understand anything. No. I told her that I trust her. I'm sure she has some kind of plan. I need to concentrate on training. One day I will understand what the essence of this training is. You tried hard today, brother. You can come back. Luna finished their lesson. As I expected, you would be good at it. But you always exceed my expectations. The girl thought about her brother. He has amazing concentration and stance that you won't see among other 2nd-rank knights. In a few years, your potential will be recognized. Luna expected a lot from him. On another day, during the general training of the cadets, the instructor prepared the future knights for sparring, which would bring the most points for the final assessment, and a good result would help to quickly become a guardian knight. Moreover, today is a special day for you, young master, the instructor addressed Jin. Mrs. Rose said that if you can defeat the 10 strongest people among the cadets, then next year you will be able to enter the advanced group. Mother said so. Great news. The hero noticed Belab among the cadets, who was shaking and nervous. Belab is in that state again, of course. It's not that important, since I'll make sure he doesn't get kicked out, but it wouldn't hurt to be more confident. Instructor Garen announced that each cadet would have 3 sparring sessions and that the partner would change after each fight. He then went on to say that the top 10 fighters would fight young Master Jin in a one-on-one fight. The sword sparring began, and it became clear who the top 10 fighters were. Okay, everyone return to your places, except for the 10 people I have chosen, Garen said. And then the heroes' fights began. 10 people, huh? Jin thought as he fought the first fighter. The record in alternating sparring is 8 people, so I'll need to win 2 more to do that. I only have to be careful of… The next opponent was Cadet Mesa Milcano, an elite fighter who would graduate from the cadet training course in the future and immediately become a guardian knight. Sparring with Mesa was the most important fight in this endurance test, Jin thought. Take care of me, young master, Mesa addressed the hero before the fight. I would very much like to gain the upper hand over you today. I look forward to your attempt. After these words, Mesa was the first to attack Jin, who noticed that the girl had become much stronger. But after her, he would need to defeat 8 more people. The guy chose a battle strategy for himself. Mesa noticed that the hero was only using basic attacks. Although he used to use combinations of attacks, she was indignant.